Toyota.
That's right. Thursday on GMFB, Jamie, Isaac, Seth, and Mike Garofolo joining us. Mike G, I know you don't get the post delivered, but I have to imagine there's a lot of hype in the air. Sweet 16 begins today. St. John's once again hanging around the tournament. And if they win, and UConn wins, I think it was a Bobby Hurley family, like, we want a Big East showdown in the next round in D.C. Your thoughts on college basketball kicking back up again?
I love it. Anytime you can throw back to the old Big East and some of those teams and some of those rivalries back then, I am down for it. You got the start of Major League Baseball season as well. Everything is super excited. We've got the NFL annual meeting next week. There's going to be news out of there. And we got the draft right. This is a great time of year where all the sports are really coming together at a time where it's news-driven in the NFL, playoff-driven, all this kind of stuff. Very exciting.
Speaking of teams that have good heated rivalries, that have historical references, the Chicago Bears. Let's start with them here.
The Bears.
The Bears. The last time we saw the Bears was in a home loss in the divisional round to Sean McVay and the Rams. And while it was a tough outcome for Ben Johnson and company after his first season, the game did produce one of the greatest moments of the postseason.
Here we go, 4th and 4.
I mean, we could watch it 10 times over. Seth just basking in it. Closing his eyes, looking away, smiling. Oh, it's so nice. Okay, keep those fond memories as you hug yourself and the Iceman. Exactly.
That's great.
All right, Caleb Williams, that becomes our topic that we're starting with here on GMFB. He's done with the second season, but that was his first with Ben Johnson. How do we move forward together into year 2 of this experience in Chicago? And what do you expect from this pair and this organization, Isaac?
I really thought we were just going to let Seth take this whole segment.
We like to make him wait.
I mean, this guy's
we like to make him wait.
Oh, he's still, I mean, the celebration, it's a whole thing. But, okay, let's talk about it. Seth, I'll leave you some time. I'm super excited about this duo this year, and I think everybody in the NFL was. I think the jump from first year to second year for Caleb Williams just made everybody lean in a little bit. They leaned into Ben Johnson. They leaned into the effect that he had. And I want to talk about Ben Johnson. Like, Ben Johnson, for me, is football. And I go all the way back to when he first got the job and he had his opening conference and he's going down the people in division and he goes, yeah, I actually love beating Matt LaFleur twice a year.
Doesn't even know the guy, just wants to beat him all the time.
Doesn't even know him. I want to beat him. I don't care. I'll play you anywhere. I want to beat that guy. And he just immediately set the standard of just intensity. And then, you know, he gives us these clips all year. Like, I don't even know what's going on here in his mind. Like, does he do this at home with his family? Like, is he just that locked in all the time? I don't know. I love the energy from him. And then again, like the fast handshake that he had with LaFleur, like it was a whole segment on here talking about it. Like, he is football. And that's why I'm excited, because he is what everything about football is. He embodies football, the energy, the intensity. He's a young, high-energy guy, and he's kind of just restored the Bears. Seth, I want you to talk about this. I'm going to give you your time.
Oh, man. I mean, I feel like you guys are setting me up here a little bit. This is like a layup for me. I mean, what's not to be excited about if you're a Chicago Bears fan, if you're a fan of professional football, if you're a fan of the NFL? It's got everything, right? You already mentioned Ben Johnson, who's a maniac. I mean, he's just a maniac. He's so obsessed with getting everything right. I mean, he would not celebrate until they won in the locker room, and then his celebrations were off the charts, right? Yeah. They were next level. He's a head coach. He's a player's coach. He gets the best out of his players, but he's also an entertainer, and he understands that aspect, that it is entertainment. We want to be able to watch that. We want to see these great rivalries. We want these characters. And then let's bring it back to Caleb, because that's what we talked about. What can we expect with his development season? And it wasn't even close. And so if you take all of that and the fact that the kid stays healthy all the time, like is on the field always, third year, I'm not exaggerating when I tell you we're going to be talking about Caleb Williams in the MVP conversation next season. That's a guarantee. Mark my words, Mike G. We're going to be talking about the Iceman. Caleb Williams is a possible MVP next season.
Seth Rollins is a tremendous athlete, an unbelievable entertainer, a fantastic football analyst, and apparently a mind reader, because he knew where I was going with this one. But I'm not going to be negative Nancy on this. It's not like, well, you know, you guys are all excited about him. But if you told me going into the season, if I could look into the future, kind of like you just did here, and could see before the season what was going to happen with Caleb Williams, I'd say that is the upper echelon of what I thought his season was going to be in year 2. And I'm down. Like, if I'm a Bears fan, I sign up for it right then and there in early September. So you start to think about how much better it can be when you go back and you look at some of the accuracy things and some of the misfires. And I don't want to call them easy throws. I mean, there's no easy throws in the NFL. But if he can start to hone that in a little bit more and start to put the ball where it needs to be through the first 3 quarters of the game before the heroics in the 4th quarter, which I don't want to see go away. I still want that to be a part of it. I don't want it to be like, well, they should win the game before they have to have a miracle play. No, make the miracle plays a part of what you're doing, a part of your repertoire, a part of everybody thinking about Caleb Williams and using the word clutch in relevance to him. But add to that some of the finer details that you can hone this time of year into training camp, the fundamentals, the footwork, where the ball needs to be. If you now put that as part of the game, in addition to what we've already seen, we're talking about an outstanding, exceptional, another E word, elite quarterback in Caleb Williams.
Man, it's all very valid points, and I'm still just seeing Seth bask in the sunlight of the fact that was that your first pass at making the Caleb MVP argument, because this is something you're gonna have to settle into your boots now for the offseason, and slowly but surely you're laying the groundwork for this argument come prediction week next season.
Yeah. I think that was my first real. That was like my soft launch. Soft launch. It felt really good. It felt really good. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to go on, but there was a lot there.
It was compelling.
There was a lot there.
The importance of winning an MVP, and frankly we saw it last season with Matthew Stafford, is you have to be able to compete with some of the best of the best. And the fact that Stafford emerged within the NFC West to become what he was as an MVP, you could make the same argument for the NFC North. A lot of talent, a lot of great competition, and the Bears are no different from that. Now, they're going to have a much more difficult schedule this time around, but keep in mind that every team in this division, in the NFC North now that I'm speaking of, was over 500 last season. So having said that, do you consider the Bears, Isaac, your favorite in the North in the 2026 season, or do you go elsewhere?
This is a tough question, because I think everybody and their mother and their brother and everybody wants to look at the Bears and go, yeah, of course, the Bears are the pick. But I think back to when I played, and I don't know if you guys know this, I was actually on kickoff when I played randomly at 280. I don't know, that's that coach's decision. I don't know why I was on, but I was. And I used to go in the huddles and I used to tell myself, why not me? Literally, I would tell myself that. Like, what if it was me? What if I was the guy making the tackle? What if I led the team in special team tackles? And that's how I feel about the Vikings. And I know you're hyped about talking about the Vikings, because I'm really looking at Kyler Murray, and I'm like, what if it does work out? What if that was the situation with Kyler last year? What if it was just a really bad environment for him, and just a quick environment switch is going to make all the difference and just make him a more confident quarterback? We're going to get 2021 Kyler. We're going to get 2022 Kyler. And, again, what if? Seth is looking at me like I'm crazy. It's hard to even talk with the way you're looking at me right now.
All right, pipe down. Mike G, you get to go before Seth has to gather his thoughts about the NFC North.
Not only do I get to go, I don't have to have Seth looking at me because I'm not there, right?
So
I can just literally focus.
Feel his eyeballs from 3,000 miles away.
And nothing else. But you got to take this shot away, though, because I can still feel his eyes right now. As I said, the Detroit Lions could potentially go from worst to first in the NFC. And, worst to first, they were 9-8, right? And you bring up the records again, and you're like, any one of those teams last year could have potentially won the division there. I mean, look how close it wound up being. And the Lions just felt like everything snowballed, right? They lost both of their coordinators. They had the Frank Ragnow situation. They had injuries even before they got to training camp. It just felt like too much for the Lions to overcome. Don't forget what kind of team this is. I mean, honestly, I look back and I go, 9-8 was incredibly impressive, given everything they had to go through last year. And I look at their schedule this year. I know it's always a tricky exercise. When you go by expected wins right now and who the Lions are facing, it's the easiest schedule in the division. I don't say easiest. It's the least difficult, however you put it that way, because it's the NFL. And it's also the least difficult in the entire NFL right now. So I'm looking for a huge, huge bounce-back year from the Lions. I think they're going to be much better on offense. Dan Campbell won't have to take over play calling from Drew Petzing in the middle of the season the way that he had to take over this past year from John Morton. I'm looking for a response from the Lions to how disappointing last season was.
You know, Mike G, that's a respectable answer.
Oh no.
That was really a respectable answer. And I, you know, as a Bears fan, I'm slightly biased on this bad boy. But looking at the division, I look at the Packers, and I look at the Lions, and I go, okay, these are competitive teams here, all right. And then Isaac has the nerve to come out here and basically, because the question was, who's the favorite to win this division?
What if?
This man, he says, what if?
What if?
He says, that,
why not Kyler?
Hey,
why not Kyler? Are we really expecting Kyler Murray to go full Sam Darnold heel? And this is the situation we're in? That the Minnesota Vikings, who, I mean, they didn't finish last in the division, but between Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy, and they're going to win the division over the Lions, the Bears, and the Packers, that's bonkers. Bonkers. That's bonkers. We need to make a bet right now.
No betting.
Put something. Okay. All right, fine.
Real quick,
Fine.
what would you have thought Sam Darnold was going to do with the Vikings? I mean, it's not the first time we've seen a quarterback come in under Kevin O'Connell and we're like, yeah, they're not going to be good. J.J. McCarthy didn't even play the whole season. Like, there's factors that affect that situation and what it looked like last year.
Maybe J.J. McCarthy should have played the whole season, and we would have seen what kind of team they were.
Yeah,
all right? Because we had Max Brosmer got a W. We were there
on Christmas Day
against the Lions. We saw that happen. I may be in the minority. I always thought Sam Darnold had the skill set to be the quarterback that we saw in Seattle and in Minnesota. I always thought it was there. Kyler Murray, I'm just not quite sold on that. I'm not quite. And here's the thing about the Sam Darnold situation. He came in not knowing, but having a good feeling he was going to be the starting quarterback for that season, at the very least. This season in Minnesota, you're talking about a quarterback competition between Kyler and J.J. McCarthy. It's not the same setup. So, I mean, maybe Kyler knows something that we don't, and he's coming into a situation where he's like, yeah, I'm the starter. This J.J. guy, we don't need to worry about him. And J.J.'s just out of there. But I don't see that happening. The other ones, I can buy. I can buy it. A healthy Micah Parsons. Green Bay's a good squad. They're well coached. Not that Minnesota's not. I love Kelsey. I think he's an incredible coach. And they got Flores, too, on the other side. This is a well-coached division. Lions, again, they have all the talent in the world to get the job done. But it's the Bears, guys. Come on, it's the Bears. They're the Bears. I'll tell you why. I'm looking over here at this wall over here, and I see these signal callers, okay? I see these signal callers. I see Caleb Williams. I see Jordan Love. I see J.J. McCarthy. You could throw Kyler Murray up there if you want. And I see Jared Goff. And one of these dudes, one of these four dudes, has the clutch gene, and his name is Caleb Williams, and the other guys don't have that gene.
Whoa.
That's they don't have it.
I don't know about
that. If the Bears don't win the division this year, because it's a very hard division, they're going to make the playoffs, and I expect them to win playoff games because 18 is under center, and he is going to make the play when the job is needed to be done. It's not going to be Kyler Murray. I'll tell you that right now. It's not going to be Kyler Murray. No bets, but that's, you know, I'm full of predictions today, James.
I hear that. I hear that. But it is a valid point that you make about if you go coach and quarterback combination, the Vikings are the only one that have a true question mark in all those pairings. So great competition across the division, and now we fully understand, if you didn't 16 minutes ago, where Seth Rollins stands on the Chicago Bears and the North, and frankly, Kyler Murray. Moving on, NFL draft season is here, and NFL Network is